Machiavelli Mills TV. So I often hear this talk about WNBA players getting paid significantly less than NBA players and how it's unfair, how that, the stars of the WNBA, they only get paid about what, $150,000, $100,000 compared to, the last guy on the NBA bench, he get paid $800,000, $1 million. Why? He get up like $1 million. Why is it different? Why is there such a big difference in pay? It's unfair. Well, let me tell you why the WNBA players don't make as much as NBA players do and probably never will. They will never make the same amount. It is what it is. It's due to the fact that the NBA generates billions of dollars and the WNBA doesn't, right? It all comes down to business, right? I can pay you millions and millions of dollars if you're giving me something in return. If I'm getting revenue from you, if I generate a ton of revenue from you, then I can pay you the big money because you're getting me paid ultimately. The NBA got what? They get billions of dollars in merchandise sales, jerseys. The boy Zion Williamson, he just got drafted. His jersey's selling out of stores quick. Going out of stock because he is a revenue generating player and people clamor to him. As a player, they are enamored with his playing ability. So they want to wear his jersey. They want to wear a hoodie with his name on the back of it. They want to rock New Orleans Pelicans gear because they know he's playing there. And the team will be relevant. Now, I talk about these jerseys and all these people wearing jerseys. I've never seen a WNBA player. I've never seen a person wearing a WNBA player jersey outside of them games on TV. I've never seen a person walking around the community, walking around my neighborhoods, or walking around in most settings with a WNBA jersey on. I've never seen it. And it's just because the fanfare is not equal. You can tell that by the TV deals that the NBA strikes up. The NBA got deals with TNT, ABC, ESPN, because the networks know if we got these games on our station, on our channel, people gonna tune in. It's gonna bring in millions and millions of viewers. The WNBA does not have that same type of fanfare. They don't. Truthfully, man, I'm in Chicago, right? A couple years ago, people kept having, like on the radio, giveaways for the Chicago Sky games because people weren't going they really weren't going like that. And the fanfare isn't close to being equal because I can't even tell you when the WNBA finals is, and most people can't. Now I will watch a WNBA game because I watch the women's game in college because I'm a huge basketball fan. I'm a huge basketball fan, and these girls out there, they can ball me up. No lie. They just that cold at hooping. I knew girls in high school that played ball at my high school, at my elementary school, that went on to play in college, and they were dogs, animals on that court. But the game isn't viewed the same as people aren't as entertained by the women's game as they are by men's because the men have the high flyers, the guys that play above the rim, the guys that can go into the sky and catch an alley-oop. You got LeBron James coming around the corner dunking on folks with no regard for human life, as Marv Albert said. He coming around tomahawking, throwing it off the glass, all of that in the All-Star games, and we got a dunk contest and all these different high-flying players. People want to see that. Unfortunately, the WNBA, they got girls that can dunk, but they don't got girls with 40-inch verticals. They don't got girls that catch alley-oops. They don't got girls that throw it off the backboard and dunk it. They don't got girls that go between the legs and do all type of windmills and 360s. They don't have that going for them. So people they're not going to gravitate to the game as much because people look to see things that are extraordinary to them, like extraordinary, like something that they couldn't even imagine doing. Most people couldn't imagine jumping through the sky with a 40-inch vertical and dunking on a 6'11", 7-foot big man like what happens in what happens in the NBA. Yeah, the WNBA players, they can hoop, no doubt. They cold. I remember watching Simone Augustus, Sylvia Fowles, Elena Delle Donne, Candace Parker, Lisa Leslie, Tina Thompson. I remember watching all these WNBA players. They can hoop. They can hoop flat out. Kara Lawson, they can hoop. Diana Taurasi, I can go on and on. Cheryl Swoops, Shamika Holesclaw, all these people, right? There's one girl from Chicago, Cappy Pondexter, all of them. They can hoop. But again, until you see them high-scoring games, 100-some point games, the games are pretty low in the WNBA. Last time I was watching, they were scoring about 60-something a game, something like that. Till the scoring is increased, the game is a faster pace, and until we see women jumping through the air and alley-ooping and getting windmills, I think that the pay will still be unequal because they can't generate the same fanfare. Players are paid based upon how much money they bring in, right? If you can't generate ticket sales and merchandise purchases, you're not gonna get paid that big money. It's just it is what it is, you know. Again, there's no clamor for the WNBA like it is NBA. People, I promise you, people sit around the crib and watch the NBA draft. They sit around the crib. The draft lottery is like a big fiasco. Everybody want to know who's going to get the top pick. That's a whole spectacle itself. I promise you, I never watched the WNBA draft. I think the draft be happening like a week after the national championship game or something like that, 2 weeks after or something like. It's really, really close. Because I remember that year Sylvia Fowles won at LSU, I think, and she got drafted to the Chicago Sky like a week after. Did Sylvia Fowles win that year, or Candace Parker and them and the Volunteers won? I'm not sure. But anyway, nobody is clamoring around the TV trying to watch the WNBA draft. Nobody is clamoring to see where the ping pong balls will go for the WNBA draft. People, it's just not the same. It's not. The interest is not the same. And again, it's due to the fact that I think the NBA is a faster paced game. There's more scoring. There's more highlight reels, dunks. It's just more highlights involved in the NBA than it is in the WNBA. And because it's not all those things that I said, the fanfare is not a lot. It's not a huge fanfare. It's not a huge want for the WNBA games like it is for the NBA games. There's people salivating at their mouths waiting to watch Zion Williamson play for his first preseason game. I don't think that's occurring in the WNBA. And again, it's no disrespect. I watch it all. I'm a basketball fan. I'm a sports fanatic. So I watch the girls play. Them girls can ball. They can ball up most dudes in the hood. Seriously. But the athletic end of it, the athleticism, the physicality, just different. It was different to see Shaq be such a physically imposing, dominating force in the paint and slamming and dunking all in your face. It was just different. Now, you got bigs, like the girls that are dominant. Yeah, you had Lisa Leslie, who was dominant. What's the girl's name, man, that played at Seattle? I got to look at her name. I got to look at WNBA. Seattle. Storm. Players. What's her name, man? I gotta figure out what this girl's name. But this one, not Brianna Stewart, of course. Lauren Jackson was her name. Lauren Jackson. I think she was Australian or something like that. She was dominant. Brianna Stewart can hoop for show. Sue Bird can hoop. But it's just not that's not the same star power, y'all. It's just not, and that's why they aren't paid the same way. Unfortunately. The WNBA players, oftentimes, they go and play overseas when the WNBA season is over to get more money, to get more bread, and they do what they got to do to get more bread, you know? But it's just viewership is very low. It is. I'm looking even at the Chicago Sky. They don't play at the United Center. They play at the Allstate Arena in Rosemont. And the Allstate Arena is not getting the same type of fanfare as the Bulls, or even half of that. That's why I mentioned back then they were giving away tickets to the Chicago Sky games because, for one, the Sky were horrible. And people just wanted to increase fanfare to get, but it was a startup. The Sky wasn't always there. They created the Chicago Sky later, which I didn't understand. Why does the third largest city not have a WNBA team? But anyway, maybe, I don't know. But they didn't have one for a while. You had Candice Dupree come through and do her thing and everything. She eventually got traded. But they were giving away tickets because it wasn't selling. The Allstate Arena doesn't hold a crowd that the United Center does, and they're not going to rent out. They're not going to have them playing in the United Center if they're not getting that much fanfare. The McDonald's All-American games, get more fanfare than a lot of the WNBA games. And it's messed up, but again, I'm telling y'all, for the purpose of seeing these high-flying guys jumping through the air, getting dunks, doing crazy crossovers, and going doing all type of crazy stuff, scoring a lot of points. People are infatuated with high scoring and a ton of athleticism. That's why Vince Carter was such a spectacle, a household name, because he was half man, half amazing. He was doing stuff most people could only dream of. He was doing stuff most people only saw in video games, like NBA Hang Time on Nintendo 64. He was doing stuff we saw in NBA Hang Time on Nintendo 64. He was doing NBA Hang Time stuff. That's why Vince was so celebrated. Until they found a WNBA player who plays like that, then the revenue is always going to be low like that. Until they find their unicorn, a Zion Williamson-like figure who can dunk and catch alley-oops and play monstrous like that. Now, you had Brittany Griner and stuff like that, but again, it wasn't the same type of dunks. I'm talking about the elevation, 40-foot verticals and stuff like that. Until it's like that, WNBA players are always going to get played like this. NBA players are always going to be up here because they can do things that the women's game, they can do things that hasn't been introduced in the women's game yet. Now, going forward, we probably will see some women athletes start having some much higher verticals than we've ever seen. Probably will happen. Who knows? But I doubt they will ever get paid the same thing. There's no hate against the women. Again, I told y'all I'm a basketball fan. I love watching the women play. But the women ain't gonna get paid the same as the men. The game is not as exciting as their game is not their game is not as exciting as the men's game. It just is what it is. Machiavelli Mills TV. Peace.